Every year, I have this tall task of following up on Pari's presentation. So I'm going to try and see how far I can do better this year. By now, all of you know that with every model release, AI is getting more creative, it's getting more innovative, and it's getting more efficient. The most interesting thing that happened in the last 18 months is AI models are also excelling in human values like empathy. How many of you here say thank you to ChatGPT thinking that it is human? How many of you tell some stories to ChatGPT that you don't tell to other humans? So that is the power of AI. It is very empathetic now. Against this type of a scenario, how can humans defend the loss of jobs against AI? And Pari pointed out to certain brilliant qualities. But the central theme around those qualities that is often discussed is the theory around humans are very powerful theorizing entities, and thereby a ChatGPT cannot predict such theory, so humans win. Think of that particular statement with an example, right? Let's take the discovery of penicillin. Alexander Fleming had this theory that a mold can possibly kill bacteria. Now, if a ChatGPT existed back then, such a theory could not have been given by it. But he worked on it, and then made sure the discovery happened. There is a problem in this argument in the sense the role of human in hyper-complicated R&D work is clearly indisputable. I myself don't have the brains of Fleming, so I may lose the job. So what about the jobs that have moderately complex workloads and lower order complex workloads? How do we defend that? So that's going to be the theme of my presentation. As I was getting ready for this presentation, I was wondering, why do we even have this field of AI? Yes, AI has been around 60 years, and pioneers have worked on it. But so do fields like statistics, operations research, economics, something I aspire to study. And all of these fields are attempting to give you data, use data, and give you very rational decisions. So in order to get better clarity around this, we designed a simple thought experiment. What if we tried to pass through a question and get response from a statistics point of view and from an AI point of view? We chose, even though I have poor driving abilities, should I drive to Confluence from Houston? So in statistics, you first set the hypothesis. What is my likelihood of that? And then I carved out some old statistical software in my laptop and then ran through data sets, which gives the route directions, driver skills, maps. And it takes all that and it says the p-value is greater than 0.99, and those who are familiar with statistics would therefore infer that the probability is low. The keyword is infer. I'll come back to that in a minute. If you ask a similar question to Gen AI, should I drive to Confluence? It's as simple as that, right? It just says, don't drive, fly. And in fact, I'm going to calculate the optimal flights for you. So AI is now handling the same uncertainty, but it is a lot more predictive and it is a lot more decisive. And this user experience, it doesn't mean it doesn't use statistics. It uses all the fields, but pushes everything to the back, give users that prediction and that decisiveness. And this decisiveness has earned a lot of respect, and it is performing really, really well. In an experiment where they matched contract accuracy, contract drafting accuracy, in a ChatGPT-assisted way with humans, humans assisted with ChatGPT performed with a mean grade of 3.3, and humans alone performed only with a mean grade of 2.9. And in experiments, you see that on the right side of the graph, there are certain human workloads where there is a lot of variability across human to human. Clinical diagnosis is a very interesting concept where you may get a better diagnosis from a high performer than a moderate performer. In such scenarios, AI actually sneaks in and does better simply because it is very consistent. So AI outperforms humans in that scenario. For me, the most fascinating part of the last 12 months is how well AI is doing against cognition. This word is there in the press all the time. They want these type of tests. They want the US president to take this type of test, right? So you have tests like how can models detect irony? How can models detect faux pas? How can model detect strange stories? Irony could be, weather could be like 100 degrees outside and I'm saying, oh, what a great weather. Or a strange statement could be, I'm giving you a great gift, and you're saying, what a great gift, perfect for regifting, right? So in these sentences and cognitions, AI is beginning to do really, really well. So what about humans? Where are we in this journey? While all this is happening, human labor has been increasingly valuable as well. The last decade, our models show that the globe has sustained about 4.9% unemployment, which means getting skilled labor at the optimal cost points has been a challenge. And technology, and especially software, has been working on optimizing human labor for the last 20, 30 plus years. We have attempted to do that through various CRM systems, workflow systems, process reengineering, and so on. And you could see this is actually a plot of average annual hours worked per FTE on the y-axis, and the x-axis is really a time. From about 1980 or so, where the average time is 1,919 hours per FTE, you come down a little bit in terms of the hours worked to 1,767. That's approximately about 8% efficiency is what we've been able to do. But look at what happened in GDP at the corresponding time. We increased GDP 5 times. The GDP went up from this is world GDP, $26 trillion to almost $125 trillion. And if you are a business leader faced with this type of growth, what will you do? You cannot find human, and then arrives Gen AI. We are all very fascinated about Gen AI. But at the same time, nature has been throwing a lot of curveballs at us. There is interesting studies that are coming that there is a declining birth rates happening in regions like Europe. And one of the interesting things that you would see is as birth rate declines, wage rate sort of elevates. So wage rate inflates faster as birth rates decline. Here you can see the birth rate went almost 20% reduced. And that created an increase in wages of about 284%. So as a business leader who's facing with all these scenarios, when Gen AI arrived, they started embracing it in a big way with all its possibilities. Because businesses work on one simple rule, and that is often called as the Wright's Law. Wright's Law simply says that if I produce more, I need to optimize more. And one of the interesting things that an IMF study said is about 40% of the jobs are directly exposed to AI. Now, 2 things about exposure. Exposure does not mean elimination of jobs. And different countries will handle this exposure in a different way. For example, a country like India that has very strong demographic dividend will really has an advantage to replace the last workload with a slightly higher order complex workload. And we saw this in a call center that was doing leave administration for a retail client. When that process got automated through Gen AI, they migrated to answering complex queries about union contracts. And this is possible because in a country like India, even at the entry-level call center workforce, there is a foundational education that helps them reskill to higher order workloads. But that is actually a one-off example. How do we take that type of a scenario, and how do we think about a more structural approach to imagine human labor? So because I'm inspired by economics, I found this age-old Jevons paradox could throw us some answers. Jevons paradox simply says that if something becomes more and more efficient, you end up wanting more of it, not less of it. So the classic example for this is fuel efficiency. When cars became super efficient, we ended up driving more, not less. So let us apply that paradox to this particular scenario. The Fortune 1000 companies spend about $6 trillion on people wages associated with knowledge work. It's an approximate number. And the associated SaaS spend for that is about $400 billion. Now, the argument is, today, a knowledge worker goes to a software more on a workflow-driven basis. They have a visualization need, they go to a software. They want to do a predictive simulation, they go to a software. They want to do some predictive analytics, they touch a software. But as AI takes over SaaS, you'll have a lot more agents doing simpler workloads and push the human to do more complex workloads. In other words, humans are becoming more and more efficient. And as a result, we would want a lot more of those humans. And even though there is a little dip for a while, it is expected to pick up. The question still remains, how can humans carve out bulk of that pie? There are 3 or 4 components that we have mapped out. It could be useful for you to think about in your real-world situations. The rhetoric around loss of jobs because of AI is largely centered because we look at AI from the dimension of automation. But if we change the mind and expand the dimension of automation to control, choice, transparency, vigilance, certainty, you begin to paint a picture where you need diverse skills to build your solutions or products. We noticed this first in Uber, where when they early on tried to build safety risk profiles just with machine learning data scientists, it wasn't very effective. They had to bring in actuaries to do some long-term modeling, psychologists to do social behavior analysis, human behavior analysis, and then their models got a lot better. So we were very inspired by this, and we are building a new generation site selection app through this model. And I'm going to show you quickly how that looks in our environment at Draup. When customers come to us and they're searching for a specific skill, in this case, something like a large language model, availability, we immediately flag in a transparent way what skills we are considering. And we are also trying to understand through our AI model educators who are researchers against what context they could be doing the search. Are they opening a new center? Are they truly increasing the team size and so on? And the model uses a lot of different libraries built by econometricians, legal analysts, and then it gives choice in terms of what variables to pick, and then summarizes the result. So this is an example of how you would take an automation dimension and extend it to other dimensions. The second important component is relook at your job descriptions to add super capabilities. I was shared this job description from an energy company. It largely read like review. This is an example of a financial analyst, right? It read like review, record, assist, prepare. If your description is going to read like this, it's absolutely going to be automated by AI. But if your description is futuristic enough where you are working along AI systems, doing predictive modeling, predictive auditing, and components like that, then absolutely you can begin to imagine the role of a human. The third component is centered around what Pari briefly talked about. Employees are adapting to new frameworks, new methodologies faster than the enterprises. That is sort of a carpenter example, walking with the tools that they need to do the job, right? And we are seeing a lot of software folks are already operating in the required state when it comes to Gen AI. But the most important thing is it is not just the skills, it is actually the methodologies. For example, the biggest thing you need to know for a software developer to become a Gen AI developer is really how do I refactor my code effectively? How do I now generate test cases in an automated way? These are all frameworks. And identifying and documenting these frameworks will be absolutely important for our skills transition journey. And finally, we believe that one of the foundational aspects that can preserve human jobs is centered around adapting skills-based architecture. Enterprises have done this for a while they've been arguing about this, but the challenge is different systems call different things as skills. So there is actually no uniformity between the different systems. So perhaps we now can use Gen AI to normalize that, and you take some skills from the core functions, say for example in data science, you take the core skills of a function and you add, say, A/B testing and experimenting, you get a product data scientist. We worked with a global telecom company based out of London, and they call us as specialisms. And this is a fabulous way to add more specialisms to the role so the human labor is preserved well. And that also enables you to find more cool jobs, like whether it is a carbon accountant or an AI artist, some of the aspects that Pari talked about from the other direction of the innovation. You will end up creating more new jobs if you go through that process. In all this, we cannot forget the soft skills. One of the Harvard studies shows that literally there is no response to team performance by just changing IQ levels. That is the red line. You'd see absolutely flat response. See the blue line. They changed as they added more people with emotional intelligence and social intelligence measured through the RM80 test. The performance shot up. So it's very important that it's an irony that in the age of AI, machine has to come and tell us you have to be human, but that is absolutely a very important skill. So it's going to be a tough journey, and to make sure we make human a lot more relevant, but it is not an impossible journey. We believe India has an advantage across all these areas. Just in 2023, imagine this, AI repositories from India got 1.9 million GitHub stars. Our own Draup module that tracks hyper-innovative AI growth rate shows there is a 17% increase in hiring on that category of job families. And companies are responding. They are going and establishing relationship with universities across different cities, tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities, and bringing the best talent. And India is also, as a country, doing a lot in defining what is called a national AI strategy. And that will absolutely power it through. One of the models that we developed is we looked at about 250,000 profiles who are doing some good quality work in AI, and where we also had the data about their graduate degrees and the undergraduate degrees. And absolutely, and this was evident even in the keynote given by Pari, USA is doing a ton of work, but look who's supplying the talent for that, India. And some talent is actually coming back, and we expect that, we have sized it to be about 1/6 of the talent is coming back to do cutting edge work in India. But as more experiments grow in India, we expect more and more people will come back and build innovative stuff. I think in the end, it is all about resilience. Professor Venki Ramakrishna, some of you may know, is actually a Nobel-winning scientist, specializes in chemistry. He has an hypothesis that says the lifespan is directly correlated with size among mammals. And that is why you see an Asian elephant or a blue whale sort of lives longer. Don't go for that bag of chips yet. It is just correlation, not causation, right? But the point is actually there are some exceptions. Look at this cockatoo bird. It weighs only 1 kg, but it can live 60 years. And scientists have been wondering for a very long time, why is that? So there is a famous experiment that was conducted in Sydney. It is called Sydney bin experiment, where they found that the cockatoo bird is so damn determined to find the food. So they placed food deep inside a trash bin, and they said, okay, let's see what the cockatoo bird can do. The cockatoo bird is so smart. It will pry a little bit and see if there is food. It will open the lid, and if it sees the food, it will hold it, walk along the lid, and then flip it, and then go grab the food. Now that is how it survives 60 years with such a small weight. If a bird which weighs like 1 kilogram can do that, humans have 86 billion neurons in their mind. I'm absolutely certain we will not only survive AI, but also thrive with AI. Thank you for this great opportunity. Hope you have a great conference.